This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. It was a nightmare.
Flight 807, you're clear for landing. Runway 7, Bravo. All personnel report to the nearest tornado shelter. This is not a drill.
If you need help, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.
Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of The Mediator with me, your host, Brian West, here to give you the top 8 headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Now, as usual, I'll give you the top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that made it first, followed by a movie clip, a skit, a trailer, or something that's going on in the community, or maybe some pictures. And then I'll give you the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made it, folks. So let's waste no time. Oh, yeah. It's time. Let's get to it. Story number 1. Local COVID-19 headlines are hanging on. COVID-19 may be slowly fading out of the headlines, but small stories relating to the recovery continue to make headlines. Now, as states move on and the local community struggles to get back to normal, people are still assessing the shutdown strategy that cost people a lot of money and caused a wave of people filing to receive government assistance. And now this key subject could be pivotal in Governor DeWine's reelection. That's why story number 1 made it this week. Story number 2. Fire safety is becoming a hot local topic. Area firefighters consisting of 40 crews from 5 counties all gathered in Girard to battle a fire that broke out at Metallico Inc. Now, fires have broken out at the scrapyard in the past, but this one seemed to have gotten a bit out of control, out of hand. Now, no one was injured and no buildings were damaged, but the fire is still under investigation, but really shines a lot of light on the growing need for more attention on fire safety. Fire crews have been very busy lately. Boardman fire crews had to rescue several people from their balcony, according to one local Vindicator report published on Monday, April 25th. Big headline. Story number 3. The Congressional Map story is staying in the headlines. A local coalition of African Americans led by the Reverend Kenneth L. Simon are really taking the local congressional redistricting map very seriously. Now, local activists feel that the new guidelines are infringing on the minority vote, according to the article. Now, either way you look at this story, it has been staying in the headlines. Both sides agree that the congressional map needs to be fair, but how some are going about making it fair is what's keeping this story alive. A key talking point is how one side is painting a picture that Republicans are trying to suppress the minority vote, when that may not be the actual case, but who knows? Now, this story has to be proven. Now, this story is still developing. That's why I made it this week. Big headline. Story number 4. What's at stake in the next local election? Congressman Tim Ryan raised $4 million in his bid for Senator Robert Portman's Senate seat, now setting a record for fundraising, according to a local Vindicator article. Now, Democrats are eyeing this seat, and there is a brutal battle filled with words and cash throwing being between supporters and candidates. So there's some words of they trying to get it elected, and there's some cash being thrown to get elected from supporters and candidates. Now, the Trumbull County judge race is also heating up between Don Catalamessa and Shane O'Brien. Now, the 6th Congressional District is also up for grabs, with Bill Johnson running for re-election. Governor DeWine's seat is also in the mix. So here's what's at stake in this. I'm going to tell you a little list. Number 1, Ohio's financial future and infrastructure is at stake. Number 2, new jobs on the horizon, with major corporations setting up shop in Ohio. So that's like Intel, you got GM, and some other LG Kim, you got all these corporations setting up shop. So this is all what's at stake in the next election, things that people will be looking at. Then you have keeping Ohio's small business happy while also impacting the minority vote, or minority communities. You see all this happening in the news. Homing in on Ohio's crime problem will also be what's at stake. Ohio has seen a spike in crime in several counties. That includes Youngstown. Story number 5. What the ARP funds have taught us about local budgets and the local job market. City finances were in need of a boost, folks, for some time. And when COVID-19 hit, just about every budget hit a snag. Now then came the CARES Act and the American Rescue Plan. This poured money into the market, saving local budgets. But now the inflation debate is brewing, folks. Some people feel that the large amount of aid money is causing inflation. That's some. Now, new talks to spend 1.6 million of the funds to replace lead pipelines at 91 homes on the city's west side is what got this story in. Now, looking back before the COVID-19 saga hit, the job market was pretty hot. Then almost overnight, people were sent home to collect relief assistance, and some being forced to work from home. Now, this entire process sent the job market into adaptation mode and put a huge dent in the local labor force. Now, to give you a clear picture of how bad it is, just about every local business has been in the struggle to recover financially, and many are having a hard time finding good help. Now, the key to understanding this market shakeup is to simply look at the inflation numbers and job numbers. Some people have still not returned to work. Story number 6. Managing Youngstown is worth talking about, folks. Once again, stopping crime is at the heart of progress in Youngstown. The city is failing in so many categories that the list of goals set for the future is high. Now the opposition is about a power line. That means people are talking about a power line in the downtown area. Now, according to a front page Vindicator article published April 23rd, Senator Sherrod Brown and about 250 local residents they spoke up against a First Energy subsidiary to install a high-tension power line through downtown Youngstown. So they got together and they don't like it. Now, entertainment facilities have been able to hold steady and stay in the black, but managing Youngstown to meet the standards of more stable, distinguished community remains at the heart of the still developing story. Story number 7 in the top 2 local headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. When I get done, I'm going to get me a nice cup of cold water, sit out in the sun, and bask in the sunshine. It's a dream, but somebody's got to do it, baby. Mediator. I've been going through story after story just for you to keep you informed. I hope you appreciate it. I hope you're seeing it with a touch of strawberry whipped cream and a nice Jello pudding pop. How about that? Story number 7. Violence is once again a central issue in Youngstown. Youngstown is at a crossroad when it comes to progress or decay. Multiple gun stories once again has city residents wanting a solution to some unnecessary shootings incidents, with some involving children. Why people are choosing violence remains the question, and how to stop the madness remains another question. Since the year started, Youngstown has been riddled with gun stories, with some resulting in the loss of life. Story number 8 at the top. Yeah! Top local headline and developing news story that made this week. We made it. Yeah. Ooh, choo, 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 choo. Tug it. Yeah. We made it to the top story. Story number 8. Pointing the finger at lawmakers. That's what's in the headlines. Mayor Brown, Police Chief Carl Davis, and Captain Jason Simon Simmons said they all took to the podium to assess another recent spike in crime. Several shooting incidents have been reported on almost about every side of town in Youngstown. Now, according to the headline news, all cited lawmakers. That means Jamel, Carl, and Jason all said that lawmakers and repeated gun offenders being allowed back onto the streets is the reason why there's a spike in crime. Okay, now analysts will be all over this story, folks, because major areas under majority population that means that minorities rule some of these communities that are in the majority of the violent stories. They have the majority of the population, minorities. They continue to see an increase in hideous, brutal crimes. I'm trying to find the right word, but it's brutal. Just shooting. Whoa, shooting. It's nasty. It's bad. This includes areas like Columbus, Cleveland, Youngstown, Warren, and in other states also. The patterns of crime stem back for years. The jungle out here. Now, cities like Baltimore, Chicago, LA, and even Brooklyn stay in the mainstream headlines due to violence and city corruption. Police corruption. This story is still developing because, once again, gun crimes and crime stories remain in top headlines, folks. Well, folks, those are our top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that made this week. I'll be right back with the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories. So don't you go anywhere. You're the Mediator. Me, Brian West. I'll be right back. Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Folks, you'd be surprised, but the Mediator, I got invited to a wedding. And I am a very, I don't know if I'm going to go, but everybody's been talking about weddings and love and I don't know what to get. Like, what do you get somebody who falls in love? And somebody made a joke. And, they said you should get them boxing gloves. But I'm trying to stay encouraged. I've had my own past dealings with relationships. Brutal stuff, Babies and violence. My past when it comes to relationship is bad. So I don't want to go to this wedding and be looking around and peeking over things and talking to the groom and telling him, wait till this is over. Things might be a little bit tough. Get through the 5 years. I didn't want to tell him about how when I got married, how the lawyers were passing out business cards, When you file for that divorce, you come see me. But I don't want to do that. I want to keep people encouraged with this marriage thing. Maybe it could be positive, Well, all I can say is that marriage is a good thing. The Bible says that when a man findeth a wife, he findeth a good thing. But me, I'm going to choose to live this life solo. If I do find a mate and I decide to get married again someday, you better believe that I'll be probably, I'm trying to think about it. I'm going to probably be somewhere in the mountains, marrying an Eskimo woman in the snow, because I've just about had my fair share of city girls. So I've got a new song. It's called Marry an Eskimo, or Marry a Woman from Alaska. Here it goes. You've got your style of girls, but I've got my style too. I'm gonna marry an Eskimo girl from Alaska. Yeah. I'm not gonna call her an Eskimo when I marry her. I'm gonna call her my love. My love is in a Eskimo girl. Get married, be free, have babies, and love, baby. Ooh. Mediation is tough, but somebody's got to do it. Marry an Eskimo girl, folks. That's my new single coming out. Be on the lookout for it in every store near you, folks. Well, let's waste no time. Let's get to the top 8, baby. Let's get to it. Story number 1. Is climate change serious enough to die for? A climate change activist is dead after setting himself on fire outside of the U.S. Supreme Court building in Washington. The article published in The Guardian goes on to explain his reasons, having mainly to do with his views on climate change. How sad is that? Climate stories have stayed consistent over the years, and this story is just one more example of what people are doing to keep such stories in the headlines. They're setting themselves on fire. How crazy is that? Big headline. Story number 2. Here's what we're not told about the IRS. An NPR report says that the IRS they're missing billions in uncollected taxes each year. So they miss out on billions in uncollected taxes each year. The main reason is outdated technology. The fact that the agency is greatly understaffed also plays a factor too. Now, to justify Biden's call to tax the rich, the article goes on to say that you are more likely to pay taxes if you are not wealthy. So that means if you're wealthy, you got some there's a chance that you may not pay taxes. Now, the article also points out how the wealthy avoid taxes with an army of lawyers. That's a big headline. The article concludes by stating how America's government income would increase if the IRS had better technology, more staff, and a better, more efficient way to tax the rich. That's why story number 2 made it this week. Story number 3. Why COVID-19 is being placed to the side. Dr. Fauci has gone on the record, folks, stating that it may be time to get back to normal. In his statements, analysts are focusing on who was right and who was wrong about COVID-19 and why that matters. Now, the numbers are staggering when looking at the death count and what many feel was an overreaction when assessing the effectiveness of the vaccines. So there's some debating going on. Now, moving forward, those with healthier immune systems seem to battle through, while others may have been less fortunate. Now, we can also focus on shutdowns and the business climate, how COVID-19 affected all that. Now, many businesses have been crippled financially by the pandemic, never to recover. Now, as the recovery continues, the COVID-19 effect will stay in the headlines. That's why story number 3 made it this week. Story number 4. The border is becoming a very touchy topic. Fox News reports that more Cubans are immigrating to the U.S. by crossing from Mexico, and many are paying in big sums. Now, one mother of 2 couldn't get in legally, so she paid more than $40,000 for someone to smuggle them in through Mexico into the country. Now, this story exemplifies how it happens. Migrants get this. Well, this is how it happens. Migrants get desperate first. They start to see things around them. They're like, well, we have nothing to lose, and they plan their escape and journey to seek a better life by any means in America. Now, the illegal immigrant population increased by 1 million in Joe Biden's first year in office, according to one Fox News analysis. Now, this is costing American taxpayers an additional $9.4 billion. That's not good. Now, according to the study, America has approximately 15.5 million immigrants living in the U.S. It didn't say illegal, but it says 15.5 million. That's a lot. Now, as we head into primary season, the Remain in Mexico policy is just that. It remains a top midterm issue. Big headline. That's why story number 4 made it this week. Well, folks, those are our top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. I'll be right back with top 4. So don't you go anywhere. You're in the Mediator to be Brad West. I'll be right back. If you want to check out the stories that almost made it in or did make it in, go to our Twitter feed on our website. Check out everything. All of the sources are there. It goes to the website. It's method.inc.com. Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week, folks. People want me to take a vacation, but I say no. We've got to work. People have gotten lazy. So lazy that they're breed lazy. sitting around, jiving, shooting the bull, playing with their doodle-doodle-doodles. But now, there's a new man in town. There's a new way of mediation, and it's called work. I'm going to save the world by putting everybody to work, baby. Vacation? That's foolishness. Why go on vacation and get some big girl knocked up when I could be working? Productivity. They don't like me anyway. Ooh, there's something in this story, folks. Why take a vacation? That's my new saying. I've even made a nice little jingle about it. Why take a vacation when I could be on the workroom floor, not getting paid, but getting a raise from the sun. Energy makes me work. The sun gives me energy, so I work. That's my special power. Work. Don't you feel it in the air? Work, baby. And then go to sleep afterwards and do it all over again tomorrow. Work. Glad I got that out of my system. Well, folks, let's waste no time. Let's get to the top four. Work. Energy makes me work. The sun makes me work. The world makes me work. Work. Let's get to it. Story number 5. Work. Story number 5. America has a new leading cause of death category. Guns are now the leading cause of death among American children. 4,300 young Americans died by firearms related injuries in 2020, according to a BBC report. Now, some of these stats were suicides, while others were related to other matters. Now, just about every category of how deaths are caused rose. That's not good. Shining light on the question of why, even in a world with an abundance of resources, people are choosing death over life. Why are we doing that? That's a big question. Life is good. Why don't we try to live it? Find something to do. According to the article, Americans between the ages of 1 and 19 were part of an overall 33.4% increase in firearm homicides nationwide. Now, the rate of firearm suicides in the U.S. rose by 1.1%. Drug overdoses and poisoning rose by 83.6% between 2019 and 2020. That's my story number 5 made here this week. Story number 6. Something deeper has been going on in the old Soviet and the Russia-Ukraine war. Just expose it, folks. Depending on who you ask, you may get a different opinion on the Russia-Ukraine war. Now, from the outside in, you may see a sovereign country fighting to maintain their independence from the old Soviet, but there is some news in circulation stating that Ukraine and Russia were a ticking time bomb due to corrupt dealings by both countries. This is what's coming out now, thus resulting in what we see now, a war. Now either way, the Russia-Ukraine war is causing the economic headache. It will cause an economic headache due to the constant circulation of migration stories relating to the war, etc. There's a lot going on causing an economic headache. Now, Ukraine also provided an abundance of resources that are now scarce because farmlands have been leveled. Now, this story is still developing. That's why story number 6 almost made to the top 2 this week, because war is brewing, and where there's war, there's a lot of money being spent and a lot of people losing their life and a lot of migration taking place to other places. People are getting up and they're leaving. We don't want to be here. That's why story number 6 almost made to the top 2 this week. Big headline. Story number 7 of the top 2 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Whew. I want to run to a story. Ooh, I want to run to you. Ooh, tell me, will you be informed today? Ooh, wee, yeah. Story number 7. Can we blame the war in Ukraine on price spikes? Big headline. One BBC headline reads that the Ukraine war has caused the biggest price shock in 50 years. This is according to the World Bank. Now, the report goes on to list some stats from different parts of the world experiencing price hikes due to the war. This story is just one of many shining light on the growing economic problems emerging due to the ongoing battle to try and get Russia and Ukraine to come to some form of an agreement. This story is still developing. That's why I made it to the top 2 this week. Big headline. Story number 8 at the top. International headline and developing news story that made it this week for you to stay in for. I'm spreading the news. I'm leaving today. I'm gonna be a part of it. Mediation. Story number 8. There's an energy war brewing, folks. Energy prices are just half of the battle. But the meat of the story has to do with the transition push from fossil fuels to majority electric. Now, the energy transition push is massive, from phasing out incandescent light bulbs to just LED lights and more energy efficient appliances. Now, natural gas prices have jumped to the highest level since 2008, and many gas prices across America remain higher than $4 a gallon. Now, the battle goes as far as how we drive. They're even talking about that. How to transition to healthier energy consumption. That's what this is all about, even when we drive. For both our planet and for our health, according to environmentalists and climate scientists, they're saying that this is what we need to do. We need to start worrying about the planet and our health. Now, the push for electric vehicles continues to keep stories like this in the headlines because an energy war is brewing. I don't care who you are, what you're talking about. There's an energy war brewing because people don't want to do when you have to make a change. Gonna make a change. It's going to be tough. Once in my life. But nobody wants to change because we need fossil fuels no matter what you say. No matter what you say. That's why Story number 8 made it to the top this week, folks. Well, those are our top 8 local and international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. I hope you got something out of today's program. Always get something out of doing the research. As usual, I'd like to thank all the news outlets, the journalists, and people on the front lines. You deserve all the credit of the media. I'm just a mediator, the man in the middle. If you want to show some support here at Method 8, it does not take much. All you have to do is visit the website on the screen, buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor a program. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in this week. I'll be back next week looking through over 200 or more stories just to keep you informed. I don't know when Earth Day is. I must have forgot about it, but if you do acknowledge Earth Day, I know it's somewhere around this time of year. Go out, get your birthday suit, and just run through the streets and feel the wind breeze and pick up some trash. Well, folks, thank you so much for tuning in this week. Have a good week, everybody. Thank you for tuning to the Mediator this week with me, Brian West. I'll be back next week looking through over 200 or more stories just for you. Peace.
If you need help, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.